Hello, number ones. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. We've got just now massive news unfolding. So let's have a look at this. Top stories. Right-wing commentator Tim Pool says his home was shot at. Right-wing political commentator Tim Pool says a car opened fire. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's jump into a couple of these. So we've got Daily Mail, the US Sun, People.com. I know he released a video on it. I saw it on X. We'll watch it, but let's begin with this. Right-wing political commentator Tim Pool says a car opened fire on his home late at night. The podcast host said no one was hurt in the December 5 incident. Thank God. Thank God. Need to know. Tim Pool said his home was subject to a late-night gunfire attack on December 5th. Disgusting. Open quotes, our security team is reviewing the incident and will be relaying the report to appropriate law enforcement, the right-wing political commentator said in an X post. Right, because he's got a fully armed security team, doesn't he? That's crazy they wouldn't even attend that. So really the question is at this point, if the team wasn't there, where would this have gone? Pool was met with support from others in his political sphere after the incident, including Marjorie Taylor Greene and, oh my gosh, his name, Megyn Kelly. To be honest, he should have been met with support from everyone. Let me make this one as clear as possible. The idea that only people on your own side are going to support you while you are the clear victim of a threat of violence towards your life and your family, or whether you are the victim of not just threat but direct actual violence. The support should come from all sides. And of course, by saying this, what I mean is that if a left-wing political commentator or YouTuber content creator gets shot at, I will show my support. Now we'll check X to see if there is any left-wing prominent figure who spoke about this in condemnation, hopefully, because that's how it should be. Instead, what I'm expecting is a lot of people are going to say, well, he's a bigot, so words of violence. Right-wing political commentator Tim Pool said his son was involved in a late-night gunfire in an X post on Saturday. Man, I hate the expression X post. Makes it sound like it's not a post anymore. I'm going to read it as, in a post on X on Saturday, December 6th, Pool wrote, last night a vehicle approached our property and opened fire. Pool lives in this place, okay. Detailing that no one was hurt, the podcast host, who is married to producer Alison Newber, continued, our security team is reviewing the incident and will be appropriate, okay. And this is the post, as you can see. I'm going to go check the comments under the post. Let's have a look at the comments under the post in a minute. This is the price we pay for speaking out against evil, Pool concluded his social media post. In another, Pool added, open quotes, but to be honest, Tim Pool, this is the price you pay for speaking conservative values. It doesn't even have to be this categorical or this extreme. All you really need to do these days to get shot at is have conservative values or Christian values. In another, Pool added, my immediate thoughts is someone was trying to scare us. Yeah, of course. But we have a security gate and armed guards, and it's possible this deterred something more serious. That's what I think. Representatives for Pool did not immediately respond to People's request for comment and more information about the incident on December 6th. Pool first rose to fame. Okay, I don't care about that. Right, okay, let's have a look. Tim Pool, so he made a post 5 hours ago. This was for a reason. They want to end the work we do, and they might. My full response to the shots fired at my company. Yeah, of course that's what it is. They want to silence. They're against freedom of speech. It's the same reason as to why they shot Charlie Kirk. It's the same reason as why they tried to assassinate President Trump. It's the same reason as to why there was an armed guy at Nick Fuentes' house. It's always the same reason. They can't handle open debate and discourse. And the very people that do this, when I say they, I mean the radicalized individuals on the far left. Not every left-winger. Obviously, the way the radicalized think, if one may even call it a form of thinking, is that they've been indoctrinated into thinking that all of these people, everyone on the right wing, are evil Nazi, and therefore extreme violence, intimidation, and that kind of tactics are justified. This is what it is. We know it. We all know it. This does not mean the right-wing political violence doesn't occur as well. It obviously does, and I'm in fact putting together a video to discuss those numbers correctly with no nonsense. With that being said, point to me to one left-wing political commentator, influencer, YouTuber who is under the same threat as conservative ones right now. Given. I hope I don't get corrected, by the way. I'm not talking politicians, because then we can talk about the senators, and that's fine. I'm talking YouTubers, political commentators, people who have a voice online. The threat is against the right. No left-wingers get shot, and I don't want them to get shot, by the way. In fact, I hope you don't prove me wrong. I hope that nothing happens in retaliation in the next few weeks, and then a left-wing commentator, even those I absolutely despise, I hope they don't get shot, because at that point I'll have to make a video and say, guys, I was wrong. Unfortunately, retaliation is happening. And so right now it's dangerous for both. So be careful. I would tell be careful to everyone regardless. But you know what I mean. My current belief, based on data, is that right now being a right-wing political commentator is more dangerous than being a left-wing political commentator. And I seriously hope that we can resolve this so that we get to a point, whether you be left-wing or right-wing, you're free in this country to speak your mind, and then people will attack your arguments rather than shooting. Is this such a weird thing to wish? Man, I'm so glad that he didn't get shot. I really am. And by the way, I don't even watch Tim Pool. I don't even watch him. I haven't got a clue. But I am following him now. I started following him because they tried to shut him up. Now I'm following him on X. That's how it works. All right, let's go.
Friday night was a particularly intense show, with a lot of claims made by Milo, which certainly angered a lot of people, and stories that I told about work behind the scenes. And it was cathartic to have these conversations at a time when the tensions between the left and the right in this country seem to be at critical mass.
Yes.
And now the conflict between different factions of the right appear to be at critical mass.
Yeah.
And so some of it felt pretty good, but there are certainly a lot of people that were none too happy with that conversation. Mm-hmm. But all in all, while I do think there's some anger over the conversations and things that were said, it was a good episode in the authenticity of the emotions that were expressed from Milo to George Santos to myself. I do understand there are many people that are saying Milo's just outright lying and is now being threatened with defamation. What a crazy night. So that night, I did what I usually do. We wrap up, and the guests on Fridays, we go out and we hang out together. Because we wrap the show early, we don't do the members only. In the weeks prior, we have been experimenting with doing pre-recorded episodes of Timcast IRL on Fridays. Because the news usually goes dry in the early evening, and then by the time it's 8 p.m. for live, we already know what the news is. Everyone's kind of checking out, and Friday night live viewership isn't actually that high relative to days earlier in the week. For obvious reasons, everybody wants to go out. We were out, and I got a message just around 1 a.m. And it was vague and nondescript. Just there was an incident. We need to talk with your team.
So he wasn't
and then
home.
We started getting the details trickling in.
Okay.
That a car had been lurking or something to that effect, and a shot was fired.
That's insane.
We now know that it was 3 shots that were fired. We don't know exactly what or why, and we are desperately trying to rationalize. Maybe it's just random. Just somebody was driving down the road in the middle of nowhere in the country and decided to slowly approach our property and then fire several rounds, just for no reason.
Of course, this is also a possibility. We still don't know that this is 100% a case of political violence. So I appreciate him saying that. But I do believe it very much is like if in this specific climate, I think it is more likely that this is indeed a case of political violence against a right-wing commentator in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, that is.
For fun, perhaps. I can't read the minds of these people.
Mm-hmm.
In October, I was traveling. My family was back in West Virginia, and we had received a credible death threat.
Okay.
Credible as
That's
determined
different.
by the FBI.
Okay.
We received threats, death threats,
That's insane.
quite a bit. And this time,
This shouldn't happen to anyone, left or right. Shouldn't happen.
it was a bit more specific. It was intended to terrorize. It wasn't sent to me specifically like many of the threats usually are. It was intended to reach everyone at this company. I immediately contacted police, our
Yes,
security team
of
did,
course.
as well as the FBI. I directly communicated with the FBI over this issue, sent them the information. It was relayed to us a short time later that the threat was credible because the individual making the threats had been on their radar. Surprise, surprise. And that this person was actually making comparable threats to other people. They believe they might know who this person was.
Okay.
I'm not sure where that investigation is going. For that reason, I believe that they're actually investigating these people, and we've been talking with them. I'm not going to, publish these emails or the communications that had happened.
Too soon.
But the threat was basically to come and shoot up our property. And
Okay. So this paints a completely different picture now. Completely different picture.
There were some specifics in it that made us say, okay, maybe this is, it could just be terror, right? So when I returned home after going out with the boys on a Friday night, hanging out, laughing, having a good time, none's the wiser. And then we hear security's on high alert. They're monitoring. The extra guys have come out. We pull up. They're standing guard at our perimeter fencing. We have a gate, and said they heard shots fired. They were on the property where our studio is, and they heard the shots and went and investigated. We have 4 videos of what happened.
Okay.
We don't, well, I'll put it like this. We're not going to be, at this time, for security reasons, I got these people screaming, release the footage. And
Well, it's an ongoing investigation. We understand that.
the concern we have is obvious. To then show everyone where we put our cameras,
No, yeah, of course.
that's not going to happen. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's why I tweeted out, if anybody had been archiving the Chicken City live stream, this is inside of our chicken coop. It doesn't reveal. It's designed specifically not to expose the property, the location, or anything like this.
Of course.
And you would have seen the reaction from the chickens. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but... And so where does it leave us now with what happened? Well, of course, there are some people that don't want us to be having this conversation, even right now.
Yeah.
They're probably furiously preparing tweets, riling up their audience, preparing for shows, people who don't like
For
me
shows.
for whatever reason, saying that we're lying, making things up. None of this can be true. Charlie Kirk is dead. A couple months ago, he was murdered.
Yeah.
We have a suspect. We don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, so meaning if this was orchestrated and he had more than one player in it, and that if that is the case, there will be more. At least attempts. Might be him, might be Matt Walsh, might be Fuentes, might go all the way up to the full-on politicians. Who the heck knows?
There are many questions around how it all went down, what makes sense and what doesn't. Why did Charlie's security team not check the roof access?
Yeah.
Well, they said the police told them that they got him covered. But that's no excuse for private security. So this is the conundrum. For us, our security's pretty good. I mean, this is why I think nothing worse happened. And it was just a vehicle firing shots driving by. We've been here for years. We've been here for about 4 years. This has never happened before. And so...
Right, but now these are different times after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We do have to understand that. We've opened a completely different chapter. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it can be closed.
Considering the time we are in, the threats we have received, and the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk,
this is different.
the intelligence assessment is, yes, these threats are real. Not all of them. You know how the internet can be. I want to believe, and I've asked a million times of our security, of our friends, political people in D.C., but couldn't it just be somebody who's just lurking around and they're just Yosemite Sam, bang, bang, bang,
Maybe
for no
drunk,
reason?
yeah.
The response I get from everybody is maybe that's just wishful thinking. Regardless, it's either an omen, it's become too dangerous, even if it's not targeted, or it's gotten to that serious of a degree. So I think any rational assessment is a person driving slowly up, approaching our property. We're in the middle of nowhere, mind you. We're not in a city. That's why we call it the boonies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And firing a shot, it's a shot is fired once they become parallel with one of the structures on the property, and then a few seconds later, as they become parallel with our studio, several more shots are fired. 2 more shots.
Yeah, it's not random.
The assessment is aiming at one of the houses and then aiming at the studio. It wasn't just a random pop, pop, pop. It lines up with where the vehicle is at.
Intentional, yeah.
So I'd love to just say people randomly shoot for no reason. It just doesn't happen. We're out in the boonies, right? There are wooded areas. Most of them, maybe not most, but many of them are marked no hunting. But, people on their properties, they go shooting in the backyard. This we know. This we understand. And so the security assessment is this was intentional. This was targeted.
And the people that will try to gaslight, by the way, and say, nah, it's just nonsense, they think they know better than professional security that actually has access to the footage. And all the surrounding information, including emails and threats. And yet there will be people that think this is like literally the main character syndrome that so many people have. It's like, oh yeah, of course there are like intelligence, security professionals, but I know better. I know better.
Now, what we don't know, were they actually intending to kill? I don't think so.
Not yet.
I don't know if it matters. Seems like intimidation. Fire several shots late at night, put our security on alert. And for what reason? People who work here cannot feel comfortable if shots are being fired at us.
Of course.
Guests we have tried to book have told us explicitly, though this isn't as common, they don't want to come on the show because of these threats. We are 2 months out, as I mentioned, from the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And more people than I think you all realize are going into hiding.
Yeah.
I mentioned this after the assassination, that there are several prominent conservatives that have already gone into hiding. And what does that mean? Does it mean that you haven't heard from it? No, they're still doing their shows, but you don't realize they moved locations. Some people are living on distant rural locations surrounded by walls and cameras and...
Which, by the way, I wouldn't even call it hiding at that point. It's defense. It's defense and it's tactical. Because if we use the word hiding, it sounds like, oh, they're cowards. I think if I were you right now, if you're a political commentator, or in general, if you're an influencer, don't do meet and greets. Don't go to any convention. Doesn't matter. Like it happened to non-political people. It happens all the time. Fans are insane sometimes. It can even be a fan. It doesn't even have to be someone who hates you. It could be someone who likes you too much. You can't do it. In my opinion, always behind the camera, always in the... and just you always have to be, of course, have security, have walls, have everything, be careful, never advertise, don't let people know when you're going, where you'll be. It is what it is.
Armed guards.
Yeah.
And while that kind of describes what we're doing, it's mostly our workplace, and we like to do a little security through obscurity, which means if you don't know where we are, then we're much more safe.
Of course.
But there have been producers, financiers, actual commentators that you have not realized are in new locations. Or maybe you may have noticed the room changed. They're in a different place right now. And it's largely for security reasons.
Of course. awful. That
I had a
we-
conversation with a lot of people over the past couple of days because, for one, obviously people were deeply concerned to hear that this happened, and excuse me. And I'm trying to get a feel for things. I'm trying to get a feel for where are we at? Where am I at? What is the real risk to us?
Of course. You have to minimize it.
When I go out places, let me explain to you guys. When I go out places, I have bodyguards because we are getting consistent threats. And it's insane to me because I look at all this and I think to myself, who am I that we need this? We want to do a meetup event. I have a bodyguard follow me to the bathroom and stand outside the stall.
As I say, don't do meet and greets. Just don't do it. That's just what I'm going to tell you guys. It doesn't matter if you have a following, and even if you are a freaking e-girl and you're just doing video games, stay home. Here's what it is.
I'm walking through a restaurant or a shopping center, and as people are walking towards me, I have bodyguards, and one will grab the people and push them out of the way as they get too close to me. It's a messed up way to live.
I can see that.
And now imagine for my wife and child, what she needs, what she wants, and how she's living, and my choices to be in the space affect her. We work together, so I have to consider that as well. And that is no way for a woman to raise a child, nor for me to allow my family to live. And you know what? A lot of people live this way. A lot of people do. At least for many of the celebrities, there's no political charge to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you something else. I had a contractor, I don't want to say quit, but there's a contractor that we are working with who started getting a lot of heat when people realized they were contracting with us. And they were, I can't believe this is happening, but you know what's funny? This is not the first time this happened. But we are working, we've had several contractors in the past, and I warned some of these guys to say, listen, it's very political right now, and the tensions are hot. Too hot. Well, sure enough, I get a call, and they're like, I did not realize how bad it was out there. And I asked them, what about me is putting your other contracts at risk? You mean like you want to build a chicken coop or something, and someone's like, I won't work with you? That's how crazy it is right now.
That's insane.
So change is coming. This is not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the real purpose, let me put it like this. I'm a rational guy. Maybe I suffer sometimes from optimism bias and normalcy bias. We just want to believe it doesn't exist. It's not happening. But how does it sound to any of you who have been paying attention? Charlie Kirk murdered. Trump, with the best security in the world, took a bullet to the side of his head.
Yeah.
So when something like this happens, the only conclusion we can make, and our guards and local law enforcement and police and even the feds were contacting us, is this was for a reason. I believe that if they had a clean shot and an opportunity, I would be dead. I'm not saying I'm the first target. Clearly, I'm not.
Okay, yeah.
There are many other more prominent personalities that I believe have been and will be targeted. And I'm not trying to say that lightly. Knock on wood. But obviously, Charlie Kirk was murdered. And you can believe by whoever you want.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see the evidence, I suppose. We'll see the trial. We'll figure these things out. But it did happen.
I mean, he's making a lot of sense. This is objectively the first time I actually sit down and listen to Tim Pool. I've seen clips here and there, of course. But this is the first time that I sit down and listen to him. I don't know what his political takes are, but at this point it's irrelevant. Because the only political... you can disagree with any political take on this planet. You can say, oh, this X person doesn't know what they're talking about, and I do. Great, debunk them. But when it comes to things like this, it's only direct incitement to violence and direct threats. That is something that should require the intervention of law enforcement and possibly terms of service enforcement from platforms. Not direct violent intervention, of course. Nothing justifies that. Nothing. But it's irrelevant at this point because what on earth? Where did freedom go?
And that's where we're currently at. I believe there are many other prominent conservative personalities who would be dead were it not for the security measures.
Yeah.
I think there is one main reason to do something like this, what we saw on late Friday night, Saturday morning. They want to end the work we do. And they might. The question now is, how do we balance all of the costs of producing a show while hiring 24/7
That's gonna be
expanded security? We already have security. But now we have a gate, we have cameras, we have hidden cameras, audio recording. We're all armed. We now need to add several more. I try to keep the security stuff vague for a reason, because we don't want to expose how our security is operating.
Yeah. Man, that's gonna be, I don't know how successful. I'm sure he's very successful, but that's gonna give a financial toll. Like, we're talking, you know how expensive private security is? It's insane.
The cost could range from $2 to $6 million in increased costs over something like this.
Holy mother of Skyrim.
Especially as we're going into a political year. This is an off year. The election ended a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1 year now. And we're looking at several assassination attempts on the president. We're looking at the death of Charlie Kirk. And you know what really is terrifying? The assassination of Charlie Kirk may be the most effective political assassination in our history.
Well, I would say after Kennedy, but...
The suspect is presumed to have leftist sympathies, left-aligned ideology. The suspect is presumed to have leftist sympathies,
Yep.
left-aligned ideology. And now, because of conversations from many prominent individuals, I'm not singling out any one person, there are many people doing this, Turning Point USA has become the perpetrator of the crime against themselves. Believe whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want. But this political movement, organization, that was rallying young people to vote, that was changing hearts and minds.
Okay, so he's changing topic now. I have no idea about what he's talking about, but this was really the section that I wanted to react to. I want to continue to watch it. If you want to continue to watch this, you'll find it on his X account. This is deplorable. This is despicable. And honestly, it's awful that people have to live like this just because they have opinions that others disagree with. It's nonsense. I hate all forms of violence. Doesn't matter what rhetoric is pushing them. The only violence that I find acceptable is in self-defense and self-preservation. But the problem is that you can even take that and expand it. And that's what we see happen when people say, well, words are violence and your words are enacting violence onto me. And therefore, my physically violent reaction is now justified. And that's, of course, propaganda. So at the end of the day, all I'm going to say is we need to figure out a way to return to healthy discourse, learning to be civil, and learning to disagree with people and beat their ideas with ours. Because any yes, but, it means you're already being brainwashed at that point. If you say yes, but, brainwashed. I really hope that we can get back. All the way. Best of luck to him and his family, to be honest. I can sympathize. I absolutely sympathize. But to all of you, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe.